everybody? Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. This is Game 4 of the LGS Escalation Tournament. I'm finally getting around to doing it. Sorry, I have been irresponsible. But this is the final round of the tournament, and it is I, Lord Tremendous of the Varangur, versus Last Stand of the Dwarves. Yes, this is my usual dwarf player, and this is a knockout, drag-out kind of fight, which is the best kind of fight. So sit back, relax, get ready to see how it all ends. Here's my list, and it has changed, because at 2,000 points, my king on a chimera makes an appearance. Lord Tremendous, duh. He's got Brutal and the Fog. I've still got my chieftain, Blackshade. He's got Brutal, and he's mounted. And he's got the Staying Stone, because, yes, at the time I don't realize it, but I thought it brought up both waiver and route checks. I make mistakes. The rest of my characters consist of a Magus, Elizabeth. She's mounted with Drain Life and Famulus. And I gave her the Inspiring Talisman so that the people will fear her like they should. I've also got a Magus Conclave, not with Famulus because I didn't have the points, a Cavern Dweller, and a Reaver Troop, the True Valdez. Making up the rest of my army is a unit mounted Sons of Korgan. It's a regiment, and they have Fury, a Tundra Wolf Troop, a Bloodsworn Horde with Fury and a Blade of Slashing, and a Warband Horde with two-handed weapons and the Crystal of Retribution. That's going to do it for my list. I'm going to post my opponent's list, play some music. Feel free to pause whenever you like to see what he took. The scenario for this one was Pillage. You play, I think we had like 6 markers or something crazy all over the board, and then whoever scores the highest places the marker anywhere they want, yada, yada, yada. Basically, at the end of the game, you have at least, if you have a unit within 3 inches of the objective and there are no enemies within 3 inches, you control it. And if you control more objectives than your opponent, you win. Otherwise, the game is a draw. So, yeah, whoever controls the most wins. It's pretty straightforward, and, well, you'll see how it goes. Here's deployment, and for the most part, I've run into the Dwarves before. I know he's got a ton of shooting, and so I kind of put as much as I could in a forest to try to, take as few shots on important stuff as I can, but, well, the dice gods are fickle, and eventually I'm going to have to come out of the damn forest. Our objectives are those little circle gold coin looking things. Those are our markers, and there's 3 down the center, there's 1 behind the tree, there's 1 in the top right there in the forest, and there's 1 behind the hill. So 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6. Yeah, I was right. There might be a 7th. I can't remember. Anyway, on the left side there, I've got my Warband with my Reavers, the True Valdez, right behind him. Elizabeth is to their right with the Conclave in the middle of the forest. Right next to him is a huge Cavern Dweller. And then next to them is my Chieftain, who's a 2-headed dog because I forgot the model. I've got the Tundra Wolf Troop in front of my Bloodsworn to screen, just in case something comes out and wants to charge them before I'm ready. And then on the right flank, I got my faster units, my Mounted Sons, and my King and a Chimera. Plan is to shoot across. It's a gun line. I got to get a hold of it. And the rest of his stuff, with the exception of his 1 Horde Brick that can fight, I think I'm going to be okay. I don't really see anything I can't, at least do well against in a straight-up fight. So I'm going to shoot across as quick as I can, whether to fire and hopefully kill him off before he shoots me off the table, and that's it for deployment. Here's top 1 after movement, and I got to go first, which is always exciting, and I shoot forward. Again, gun line, don't have a whole lot of time to wait around. So on the right side, the Knights and the Dragon fire forward. I'm just going to see whatever he presents and probably take it. Maybe. We'll see. I'm kind of feeling eager. In the middle, the chieftain and the dogs come forward because if he doesn't shoot me off the table and waver me, I'm going to do my very, very best to kill as much of a shooting as I can. Elizabeth and the Magus Conclave take sights on his organ guns, and everything else on the left side, like I said, everything just pretty much shoots forward as far as it can. And that's it for movement. During the pansy phase, the combined shots from the Conclave and Elizabeth puts 3 wounds on the unpainted organ gun, which, not terrible, all things considered. And believe it or not, dice gods be praised, I'm able to waver it. Not route it, but it can't shoot, so that'll work for me. After a pretty effective top of 1, here's bottom 1 after movement. And again, dwarves, gun line, they're not moving a whole hell of a lot. Left flank, a little bit of forward movement with his infantry, nothing overly impressive. Obviously, War Machine, Shooty Hill stays perfectly stationary. Everything on his right side there comes forward just a little bit, and really, that's it for his movement. I really, really look out in his shooting phase, and the only thing that happens is his rifle guys put like 5 wounds total on the dogs, probably with the other organ gun too, and they're fine. They're not even wavered, so really lucked out. Very happy about that. And yeah, that's it for his pansy phase. That takes us over to top of 2, and there's some excitement because I moved forward for some more. Yay! Wasn't quite ready to charge, except for, of course, my dogs and the... oh, you know what? Maybe my dogs did go. Maybe they did waver, and I just didn't get a picture of it because I'm not seeing them anymore. So maybe they did route, and I'm not seeing them. I apologize. I don't know why I missed that picture. But anyway... Blackshade charges into the unwavered organ gun, and that is really it. Everything else kind of moves up and starts posturing and posing, getting ready to charge or shoot, and yeah, that's it for my movement. We jump straight into combat because my magic and shooting I just completely miss. I fire everything I can at the unpainted organ gun thing. I'm going to be able to take it out, and no, didn't hit or wound at all. Really frustrating. And to make matters worse, this game happened a while ago. I forgot that even individuals triple their attacks against War Machines. So I throw 5 attacks at this thing, and I do a single wound. It's frustrating now even to look at it. Needless to say, I don't even so much as waver the damn thing, but it is disordered. I did do at least 1 wound, and I back off an inch. Ugh, if I could go back in time. Oh well. Well, that's all for my turn, so here's bottom of 2 after movement, and again, there's kind of a stalemate. On the left flank there, he starts positioning in order to get a better angle on stuff, and that's it. On the right side, kind of the same thing. They come forward just enough. I think he wants to shoot his breath weapon with his behemoth or whatever, and yeah, that's it. It's kind of like a cat and mouse game right now. More touch and go than anything else. We go into his pansy phase, and he's able to put 5 wounds through on my Bloodsworn. Wasn't getting covered because not half the unit was in the tree. I was barely towed in the damn thing. But then he screws up. He gets overexcited, he rolls nerve, and then he tries to roll his organ guns. And I'm like, it's a tournament, I don't know if you can do that. And the judge came over and was like, no, once you start rolling nerve checks, your shooting phase is over. So he was more pissed off at himself than anything else. But that was it. That's why he did so few things. And yeah, just got overexcited and went out of step. And it was a tournament, so we followed the rules. Chime in and tell us what you think in the comment section. I don't know. I felt bad, but at the same time, that was how I would have enforced it if I was a TO. With that, here's top of 3 after movement, and Blackshade goes back in. I kind of move around a little bit with the dragon, just kind of shift him over to the left, be closer to the knights, who also shift over to the left just a little bit. The Bloodsworn come forward. The, what's it called? The warband moves forward so that the Reavers can charge that little weird troop brick, regiment brick to my left there. Elizabeth postures, the Cavern Dweller postures, just in case his big old Horbrick decides to go into my warband. And my Magus Conclave moves so that it can get a shot at the unpainted organ gun again, and that's it for movement. In the pansy phase, the combined attacks of Elizabeth and the Conclave on the unpainted organ gun do 2 more wounds to it, bringing it up to 5, but I roll like a 3 or a 4, and it's not even so much as wavered, so yeah, that sucks. We roll over into combat, and Blackshade's still only throwing 5 attacks because I suck at rules. Does 2 more wounds to this thing, bringing the total up to 3. And even with a 7, or I'm sorry, with Brutal, I can't roll 7 or higher, and it's perfectly fine. It is disordered, it can't shoot, but damn it. I should have broke this thing twice already. Ah, I should have studied the rules. The True Valdez do much better than Blackshade, using all their attacks, and are able to wound 8 times onto this unit, which really isn't terrible, all things considered. We roll their nerve check, and they're wavered, which is great, but all dwarves are headstrong, so there is a 67% chance that my Reavers are going to catch some heat next turn. We'll see, though. We'll see. The dice have kind of been going all over the place, kind of like they're random. That's all I could do, so here's bottom of 3 after movement, and his big old horde brick comes into my warband, which is fine. If he breaks it, whoop-de-doo, they're going to take 2d6 hits. If not, then both the Cavern Dweller and the warband get the countercharge next turn, and that'll be a lot of fun. I believe his little regiment unit is still wavered. I believe he rolled a 1 or a 2, so my Reavers, True Valdez as they are, stay right where they're at, which is wonderful. And the rest of his army just kind of pitters around. His other little regiment of berserker guys kind of come around the right side there, trying to put some heat on my dragon and my knights. And that's really it. Not a whole lot of other movement. We go into his pansy phase, and he fires his breath weapon from his behemoth into my knights, doing 3 wounds to them, but they're perfectly fine. Although, I let him get too close, and I am ashamed. And then the combined shots from his rifleman and his unpainted organ gun that I can't seem to frickin' waver again does 14 wounds. Well, brings the Bloodsworn up to a total of 14. They don't even so much as waver, but damn it, that shouldn't even be there anymore if I had only read the damn rules. I blame myself. I got no one else to. We jump into combat, and his crazy horde of dwarves do 12 wounds to my warband, which honestly was a lot less than I thought he was going to do, so I'm okay with it. They should be able to survive this. And they do, easily. Not even so much as wavered, so we'll see them in just a minute. That brings us to top of 4 after movement, and we go all in on the left flank there. The Warband and the Cavern Dweller charge his Horde Brick. The True Valdez unit of Reavers goes back in their little regiment or whatever. Elizabeth comes forward because I'm tired of the damn unpainted organ gun. The Conclave's fine where it's at. The Bloodsworn move up a little bit further, but I don't want to get charged by his Horde Brick of Dwarves. And then the Dragon and the Knights charge into his little regiment unit, and I'm hoping to break it and overrun far enough that I can't be charged. We'll see. It's a gamble, but I'm tired of this pussyfooting around, and I want to fight. So that's it for my movement. In the pansy phase, Elizabeth and the Conclave concentrate their fire on the unpainted organ gun and put 5 more wounds on it. Finally, a really good magic phase, which is nice. Which sees that bastard off the table. It finally routs, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. It should have been both of them. Blackshade should have been into his characters by now, but I suck at rules. So I'm working on that, and it's completely my fault. But, hey, progress. Progress. That's what's important. We jump into combat, and the Ravagers just go insane, doing 11 wounds at his unit. On top of the 8 they already had, they're at 19, which is a little ridiculous. Unit gets Valdez, quite professionally I might add, and they rout, and then the Reavers spin in place, looking for their next victims. Combat over here is very disappointing. I flub rather spectacularly. 25 attacks with the Warband, and I do about 8 wounds, and then the Cavern Dweller, who should have just smashed all sorts of face, did like 2. Total of 10 wounds on this Horde Brick. I was disappointed, to say the least. Quite obviously, they're perfectly fine, and I back off an inch. Oh, that should have been so much better. I was actually hoping for 15 wounds. In this combat, my dumbass is still throwing 5 dice at a war machine, and I do 2 wounds to him. You know what? I'm rolling so bad because even my character, my inanimate object character, knows I should be rolling 15 dice instead of 5. So, yes, the total wounds on this thing I think is 5 now, which is disgusting. It's wavered, but who cares? As long as I hit it, it's still going to... It's not going to shoot, which is important, but... Oh, I should be into the characters and the rifleman with this guy by now. I am ashamed. With this combat here, my Knights and my Dragon are able to put 13 wounds onto this unit, which, again, not stellar. Not stellar at all, but 13 wounds should be enough to break this little regiment. It was. They rout, which is nice, and then I turn to face everything else that's going to be coming into me next turn. The dragon also just kind of turns, because I know the berserkers are going to go into the knights, the horde and the behemoth are going to go in there. But if they're all over there beating up on my knights, he's not getting objectives, and as long as my dragon doesn't take a close combat hit, he can fly over and secure one. So I'm kind of trying to sacrifice my knights here in order to get myself some objectives. You'll see how that works out. That takes us over to the bottom of 4 after movement, and on the left flank there, his big old horde brick of dwarves countercharge my cavern dweller, which surprised me a little bit, but is what it is. And then over here on the right flank, his behemoth and his his horde brick and his berserkers charge the knights, which will be more than enough. His behemoth runs over to breathe hot death on my dragon, and the rest of his stuff stays put. That's it for movement. We go into the pansy phase, and his riflemen are able to put 6 more wounds onto my bloodsworn, which pretty much seals their doom. And they're wiped off the face of the table. It's exactly what I wanted. I really, really misplayed them this game. We jump into the combat phase, and yeah, his horde brick and his other guys, his berserkers, they beat the ever-loving piss out of my knights, bringing him up to 22 wounds, so I think like 18, 19 wounds to him total, which is just murdering him. He rolls it twice, does not roll snake eyes, and the knights are just completely obliterated. But again, now his stuff is all out of position, he ends up leaving him like that, so there's a good chance that I've just screwed up his ability to capture objectives. We'll see. His other horde brick is able to put 11 wounds on my cavern dweller, which also really, really sucks. Yeah, I wish my horde brick did that, but it is what it is. And then he proceeds to roll an 11 and a 10, which breaks him, routs him completely, and then he turns to face the warband, who was going to charge him in the flank a second ago. Son of a bitch, things are going left field. Oh well, it is what it is. Here's top of 5 after movement, and I'm committed now, and kind of desperate. The warband charges back into the horde brick on the left side there with the reavers in tow. Hopefully it's enough. Elizabeth is going to face them and try to do drain life into them and try to help out the warband a little bit so it doesn't blow up before it's ready. The conclave stays right where it's at because it's going to start firing at the riflemen. And my dragon, who's height 4, could see his little character there, and since he could fly and all that other good stuff, he flew over and slammed into that little character dude just to get him out of the way. Afterwards, I'm going to try to go after his riflemen on top of the hill and then secure the objectives that are there, because if I'm not mistaken, his big old rifleman brick is sitting on an objective. I'm not 100% on that. But honestly, I'm being just massacred off table here because I'm playing like a moron, and my opponent is playing very well, even after screwing up 2 shooting phases. Ever seen a drowning man grabbing at a straw? Well, you're about to, and that's it for my movement. In the pansy phase, my conclave fires off at the rifleman, putting 4 wounds on him, which isn't going to be enough to do anything, but I figure I got to start it somewhere. So 4 wounds, I'll take that. And then Elizabeth is able to drain life on his big old horde brick for 2 wounds, healing the warband for 2, which isn't terrible. Would have preferred 4, but then again I would have preferred 6, so now I'm just being a whiny brat. With that, we jump into combat, and as you can see, the Reavers and the Warband decide to really pick it up. When working as a team, they do very well, apparently. We're looking at, 6, 12, 22, 25, 27, 28 wounds total on this unit, which, God willing, is enough to break it, right? Well, it is, and they do break. I don't have a picture of it because I'm an idiot, but yeah, that unit is gone, and we just kind of reassemble so that I can either countercharge something or collect on the objectives. We'll see, because they've still got to weather more shooting. In this combat, Lord Tremendous is able to do 8 wounds to his little character dude there. I'm not sure if that's his king or a musician or some sort of rune priest, but it's wounded now, and that's what's important. It dies a maggot's death, and then I overrun to be about 1.5 inches, 2 inches away from his rifleman, who I will be charging possibly into flank next turn, which is exciting. In this useless combat here, I finally destroy the other organ gun with a very underutilized Blackshade, but hey, I got it, and I stopped it from shooting the entire game, so I guess that's good. So we do go into the bottom of 5, and I forgot to take a picture of it. Probably because I'm losing really, really bad and I'm starting to panic. So, yeah, I don't have an overall picture of it, but I do have an important part. So this is the way I had everything aligned after killing his Horde Brick last turn, which is whoop-de-doo. But, yeah, he shoots my unit of my Warband with his Rifleman and puts 6 more wounds on him and wavers the unit. Didn't rout him, so there's still a chance, but damn it, now I can't move him. So if the game ends next turn, I'm screwed. Yeah, don't really know what to do there. So hey, look, I got the top of 6 after movement picture. Yay for me! And I really screw this up. I do not think well through this one. I send the dragon back behind the hill, and I'm banking on the game ending on turn 6. So the dragon's going to go and secure the objective there. The Reavers have the other objective in the back. I would have moved the, what's it called? Or I pivoted in place the Warband, giving them 3 inches to that item or the objective in the center, and the right flank is just completely dead, so there's nothing I can do about that. He moved to cover the objective behind the wood terrain piece right there, which will come into play in a little bit. His Horde Brick moves to try to get the one on top of the hill on the right, and Blackshade charge into the flank of his Rifleman, and that's all I have for movement. We go into combat, and Blackshade's able to bring this unit up to 9 wounds in total, which is enough to waver them, believe it or not, which isn't terrible. I'm happy about that, but I should have put my king into him and destroyed him, but hindsight's 2020. I wanted to secure the objective that's behind the hill. My king and a Chimera charge that little character that he's sitting in front of right now, and after combat he's able to do 8 wounds to him, which is really good. And I face murder him, which is always good, which more or less secures that objective unless he backs up with that Horde Brick. So, again, it's going to come right down to the wire. I'm kind of realizing way too late I forgot all about the objectives. Here's bottom of 6 after movement, and so his character on the left side there, he's got one more character, he's got a whole bunch of them. He runs over to cast a spell or something like that into my Warband, hoping to rout them, which is a very good chance that's going to happen. His Riflemen, of course, are headstrong and they make their roll, so he fires forward as far as he can in order to claim the objective. I can't see him with my dragon because the hill is height 4, just like the dragon, which sucks. His guys secure the objective, well, they don't move, that are behind the tree, and the other one on top of the hill secures another one. So right now he's got 1, 2, 3 objectives, but, well, we'll get to that in a minute. And his Steel Behemoth just stays in the forest because it's really not going to do anything else this game. And that's it for movement. So, yeah, his little bastard character comes up, throws Drain Life or whatever it is at my Horde Brick, does 1 wound, forcing the nerve check, and they break. They explode, but who cares? And, yeah, just outplayed at every turn, and I blame my opponent. I do. He did this to me. So I thought if it stopped, if it ended at the bottom of 6, like I hoped it would, it would be a draw because I have my dragon on one and I have my Reavers on the other. And then I saw the one that he had in the middle there and the one on top of the hill. I did not see that he had a third one behind that wood piece of terrain right there. So, because the wood piece was there and I completely forgot about it, so I blame myself. There's nothing I can do about the one in my back quarter. I don't have enough units left because I got my ass kicked in this game, and I can't send my dragon over to finish off the big Rifleman brick, so I send Blackshade into the rear. Elizabeth is going over to drain life. The Reaver secure the objective on the left side there. And yeah, so I've got 2 secured, 1 possibly unsecured, and then I thought I would win. Yeah, that was the plan, but we'll see. Well, you'll see what happens because I'm doing this all under the assumption that I can still win. I can't. Even if I break that one, at best I have a draw, but his character can move over, contest it, and then he's got 2. So there's no way I can win because I forgot all about the objectives and the one behind the thing. But that's what I moved around for, and that's it for movement. In the magic phase, Elizabeth is able to put 3 wounds on the unit with Drain Life, which is huge. And my Conclave is able to put a wound on his little character guy, which isn't going to do anything. We go into the combat phase, and Blackshade is able to put 3 more wounds on a unit, bringing the total up to 15. So there is a chance with Brutal that I could break this unit, but it wouldn't matter. There's no way I can win. I just don't realize it yet. I roll pathetically low and back off an inch. Now I know I can't win, but I don't fully understand why. So at this point, my opponent and I are talking, and he's like, well, I've won. And I was like, well, it's a draw. I mean, yeah, you go contested here and you've got it. And he goes, I've got 3 objectives. I was like, you've got the one in the middle, you've got the one on the hill, where's the third one? And he points at the thing behind the stick. We actually picked up his unit. I'm like, oh man, I wouldn't have tried so hard. He started laughing. I thought you knew. I was like, I should have. I didn't. I am dumb. And yeah, he had me beat for almost a full turn. I had no idea. So yeah, at this point, we call it. So there it is. There's the end of the game. 3-1, my opponent outplayed me, even after screwing up 2 of his shooting phases. So yeah. You know what? This game ended exactly right. He deserved to win. He played a lot better than I did, and it was still a lot of fun. I got no real complaints other than my play style, and I'm working on that. But we'll get to the recap right away because this game is over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
So in the end, it was a defeat for Lord Tremendous. I got 1 objective, he got 3. So my record overall for the tournament was 3 wins, 0 draws, and a hard loss. Damn dwarves using terrain to hide behind. They're just not tall enough. I thought I had this. I thought, okay, cool, if it ends in 6, I got this. Even if it had ended in 6, at best I could hope was for as a draw. So, yeah. Yeah, I never had it. I never, ever had it, and I had no idea because I like to play sitting on my shoulders. It is what it is. Excellent game, though. What can I do? What really sucks is I should have had this game. My opponent, who was playing a gun list, more or less, went out of sequence twice in the shooting phase, sacrificing most of his shooting. And he still beat my ass. Not only with objectives, but let's face it, if it was kill, he'd have beat me there too. Not sure if that says more about him or me. I'm thinking more about me. I felt terrible for having to enforce the fact that he couldn't shoot after he rolled his nerve checks. It's just when we're playing a tournament at the local store, if you go out of sequence, you go out of sequence, and you can't go back. The judge actually came over and ruled on it, so it didn't matter. If anything, it just motivated him to kick my ass harder, and good on him. But, yeah. Even with that huge advantage, I couldn't pull out the W, and I blame my opponent. I did not play this well. It was the last game of the night. I was overconfident, and then I overextended and completely forgot multiple key rules, like mainly with Blackshade, forgetting that 15 attacks as opposed to 5. He'd have been able to take them out and have been in those rifle guys a lot. If I had only looked a little bit closer at the board, maybe I would have noticed that objective, but at best I could have hoped for was a draw. So, I learned a lot from this game, and number 1 thing is you need to play the objectives, or you're going to lose, and people will taunt you on the internet. So feel free, taunt away, I deserve it. But at the end of the day, I ended up taking 2nd place out of 8 people, so not terrible, not terrible. I got some nice in-store credit, which I used to purchase some stuff because, you know, that's what it's all for. And this was actually a really fun game. I do enjoy playing against this guy. I really like seeing dwarves across the table. And my opponent made some really intelligent plays. I did not. So even though he beat my ass, both in kills and objectives, I enjoyed our game. It was a lot of fun. I mean, hell, I got to push soldiers across the table, and at the end I got paid for it. We do have a rematch at 2,500 points and a couple of battle reports. So yeah, we definitely get to fight each other again. It's a lot of fun, and all in all, I loved this tournament. The escalation thing was cool. The opponents were great, and I really enjoyed seeing how my army does at different point levels. All in all, it was a really good time. What great way to spend a Saturday. But that's going to do it. Battle Report number 28 is officially in the history books. So, as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can, whether or not I can talk. But as always, everyone, thanks.